2019 is behind us and 2020 is finally here. I dug through the 116 coasters announced to be opening this year and picked out the 28 best ones to feature in this video. So here we go. These are the best coasters opening up in 2020. Before we get started with the countdown, let's look at some special cases and relocations that are worth noting. Primordial at Lagoon looks to be an interactive shooting dark ride coaster, and there's already been a lot of work done on the show building, but even though this coaster has been listed with a 2020 opening date, it's more likely to open in 2021 or later, so I'm leaving it off this list. Powerland in Finland has some new Gerstlauer construction going on, and there haven't been any details released on this project. Some think it's a new coaster, but others think it might be an extension of their existing Infinity coaster, Junker. It'd be nice if maybe Magic Mountain took a page out of this playbook for Full Throttle. Just saying. 2 parks will enjoy some relocated coasters, and 1 will definitely regret it. Spot Kissimmee will open Hurricane, the ENF Miler relocated from Wild Adventures where it was known as Viking Voyage. Golden City in Russia will be opening the relocated Saturn from Japan's Space World, an Intamin accelerator coaster. And then La Ronde will be giving new life to the worst coaster ever built, Green Lantern First Flight from Six Flags Magic Mountain, and call it La Vipère. Mirabilandia is opening its gates with 2 new relocated coasters. And no, it's not the one from Italy, it's actually from Brazil, and it'll feature an Intamin 8 Inversion coaster located from Brazil's Terra Encantada, where it was known as Monte Macaia, and last operated in 2010. The other coaster is Six Flags Over Georgia's Deja Vu, a Vakama giant inverted boomerang that hasn't operated since 2007. Okay, let's get this list started. Number 28. Sidewinder Safari, a Zamperla spinning wild mouse coaster going to Six Flags Discovery Kingdom in Vallejo, California. Discovery Kingdom is about to enjoy their 4th coaster edition over the last 5 years, and although it's a small family-style coaster, these can be a lot of fun, and the park can really use some more intermediate coasters to bridge the gap between the kids coasters and the extreme inverting coasters. Number 27. An unnamed SNS custom freespin coming to World Fairytale Land in China. This one is reported to look different from the typical freespin clones, which makes us think that maybe it's the 10-element model that SNS is advertising, rather than the usual 6-element model, which could be interesting, if extending these types of rides is something that you actually want. Number 26. An unnamed wooden coaster coming to the brand new Gullivers Valley Resort in the UK. This is classified as a family wooden coaster, and it's expected to be a clone of Antelope, the family wooden coaster at Gullivers Warrington, which is about 54 miles away. It looks like a pretty solid wooden coaster, but it still ranks lower on this list. Number 25. Aquaman Power Wave, a Mach Rides Power Splash at Six Flags Over Texas in Arlington, Texas. This is the 3rd Power Splash to be built, and it's the first one in North America. And it's a unique model, combining coaster elements like a launch and vertical spikes, along with a water ride. It's kind of like a water ride impulse coaster. To me, this is not the big thrill coaster that Over Texas needs, and this may be considered the coaster that will hold the park over for the next 3 to 4 years. I am not a huge fan of this edition. Number 24. Objectif Mars, an Intamin launch coaster coming to Futuroscope in France. This ride has a lot going on. It looks like a coaster and a dark ride combo with a tire-propelled launch that will reach speeds of 34 miles per hour while the cars are spinning. It has indoor and outdoor sections and will even feature a drop track. This doesn't sound like the most thrilling coaster, but it could really be cool with its effects and its theming. Number 23. Storm Chaser, a Mach Rides spinning coaster coming to Paultons Park in the UK. The initial renderings got people excited that this could be the next extreme spinning coaster like Time Traveler at Silver Dollar City, but that seemed a little unrealistic for this park. Once the final announcement was made, it made a little more sense. This would be a clone of Sierra Sidewinder at Knott's Berry Farm. So it would definitely be a family coaster, but I personally think Sierra Sidewinder is awesome and forceful, so I think it's a good addition. Number 22. Vertica, a custom Gerstlauer Eurofighter coming to a park I won't try to pronounce in France. Most Eurofighters are similar, even if they're custom layouts, and this one has a little more than 1,400 feet of track. It stands almost 89 feet tall and reaches almost 50 miles per hour. It features a 91-degree drop, and it has a loop and a corkscrew. This isn't as steep as the models you'll find in America, like Tantrum or Adrenaline Peak, and it has one less inversion, but it does have more track length. It's a good addition for a smaller park, and this park only has one other operating family coaster, so this will be a big addition for them. Number 21. Emperor, a B&M dive coaster coming to SeaWorld San Diego in California. The park's third coaster addition over the last 3 years is their biggest and most significant one, and it shows that the SeaWorld chain is serious about packing their parks full of coasters. The San Diego park has a height limit, so they can't build the biggest coasters like they can in Orlando. After all, technically the height limit in all coastal zones is 30 feet, so they needed an exception from the San Diego City Council to make Emperor happen. It's definitely not what we're used to seeing in North America when it comes to B&M dive coasters, standing just 153 feet tall, but it'll make up for it by featuring 3 inversions over its 2,400 feet of track, and it's going to be awesome to have a B&M dive coaster down the road in San Diego. Number 20. Icebreaker, a Premier Rides launch coaster coming to SeaWorld Orlando in Florida. SeaWorld Orlando could really use a family-friendly coaster, considering its collection of monster B&Ms, and I guess this sort of fits the bill. It has less than 2,000 feet of track and reaches 52 miles per hour, but also has a 93-foot junior scorpion tail that goes beyond vertical and an 80-foot outside top hat. We'll see how this ends up riding. It seems like Premier Rides has gotten into the milder coasters that still have thrilling elements. See West Coast Racers. An Icebreaker could be the next one of those types of coasters. Number 19. The unnamed Intamin 10 inversion coaster coming to Flamingo Land in the UK. If you're familiar with Alt Air in Italy, Flamingo Land is getting a clone of that. We obviously don't have one of these 10 inversion coasters in America, so I've never ridden them. I haven't heard the best things about them, especially Colossus at Thorpe Park, which is an older model. This coaster is interesting because it was originally supposed to go to Hopi Hari in Brazil, but they didn't have the funds to actually build the coaster after it was delivered. It was then sold to Movie Animation Park Studios in Malaysia, where it's unclear if it was ever built or not, but now it's on the doorstep of Flamingo Land, and the UK will get yet another 10 inversion coaster from Intamin. Number 18. Texas Stingray, a GCI wooden coaster at SeaWorld San Antonio in Texas. This woody flew under the radar and was built quickly, and it will likely be the first coaster of the year to open when SeaWorld San Antonio reopens its gates on February 22nd. Sometimes, GCI layouts can get boring, and I'm not sure how Texas Stingray will actually ride. There are some GCIs out there like Mystic Timbers, Gold Striker, and American Thunder that are terrific. Then there are others like White Lightning and Invader that fall flat. Texas Stingray stands at 96 feet tall, hits 55 miles per hour, and has almost 3,400 feet of track. So not overly impressive stats, but not bad either. So this coaster is a true wildcard. I can't project how good this might actually be. Number 17. Hals über Kopf, a Vakoma suspended thrill coaster at Tripsdrill in Germany. This is the prototype of the Vakoma suspended thrill coaster, and it will feature 4 inversions. If the rendering is any indication, this will also feature the lap bar restraints that you'll find on the newer Bakoma suspended family coasters. Though I wouldn't be surprised if this ultimately got the best restraints like you'll find on Riddler Revenge at Six Flags New England. Bakoma has been creating great looking coasters lately, and if this follows that trend, then it could be a very solid addition. Number 16. Leviathan, a Martin & Vlemingsen Gravity Group wooden coaster coming to SeaWorld in Queensland, Australia. This has very similar stats as Texas Stingray, and it looks like it could be a very similar ride, even though this is a Martin & Vlemingsen Gravity Group Woody while Texas Stingray is a GCI. This will open as the most thrilling coaster at SeaWorld, and because it's Australia, it will have a back car that runs backwards. Number 15. An unnamed dueling coaster coming to Fuhua Amusement Park in China. This is from a Chinese manufacturer that's currently building another one of these models called Dueling Dragons, that has 1 sit-down track and 1 inverted track, just like the Intamin Dueling Dragons coaster that opened in China this past year. Even though this one isn't an Intamin, we'll see if it stacks up to Dueling Dragons because that one looks absolutely amazing. Number 14. An unnamed Intamin Blitz coaster coming to Happy Valley in China. This is a brand new park opening in May, and this launch coaster is said to be similar to Cheetah Hunt at Busch Gardens Tampa. This is another one of those rides that isn't technically a family coaster, but it's family friendly with the forces that it pulls. If it's anything like Cheetah Hunt, then number 14 is a good spot for it. Number 13. An unnamed B&M wing coaster coming to Happy Valley in China. Yes, this is the same park I just mentioned that's getting the Cheetah Hunt style Blitz coaster. They'll also be debuting a B&M wing coaster that's a clone of Flying Wing Coaster at another Happy Valley that opened in 2017. This is a good sized wing coaster with 5 inversions, so it definitely should be a solid ride. Number 12. An unnamed Mach Rides launch coaster coming to Dreamworld in Queensland, Australia. Although this is very similar to the Blue Fire model, this one will feature a multi-pass launch along with a vertical spike and a switch track. Very similar to Pantheon at Busch Gardens Williamsburg, which is Intamin's take on this concept. And of course, since it's Australia, the back car is going to be different. This time, rather than being backwards, this back car will spin. That experience may make Time Traveler seem like a kiddie ride. Number 11. An unnamed Vakoma Energy Storm coming to Fantawild and Zigong Fantawild Dinosaur Kingdom, both in China. Based on this photo from VH Coasters on Twitter, this looks a lot like the Bermuda Blitz model, which is well known as Let Coaster at Legendia in Poland. It features a small lift hill, a steep drop, and 3 inversions, a Sidewinder and 2 corkscrews. I can't find much information about the Energy Storm model, but I'm gonna assume it's similar to Let Coaster, so it should be good. Number 10. The unnamed Bokoma Firestorm coming to World Fairytale Land in China and Vine Peril Land in Vietnam. This is another brand new Vakama model that looks a little bit like Redfire at VSC in Turkey or Ice Speed at Mirabilandia in Italy. It's a launch coaster into a top hat into a long twisted layout full of inversions. We're looking at 71 miles per hour, 164 feet tall, almost 3,500 feet of track, a loop, a heartline roll, and a corkscrew. We'll have to see if these compact launch coasters catch on across the world after these 2 open in Asia. Number 9. The unnamed Bakoma Top Gun coming to Fantawild and Fantawild Ningbo in China. This one is similar to the Firestorm. It launches into a non-inverting loop, has a lot of airtime hills, inversions, tight turns. Again, this model looks a lot like the Intamin Blitz coasters, so it'll be interesting how Vakoma's take on this type of launch coaster can stack up against the original Intamin versions. Number 8. Abyssus. A Bakoma Shockwave coming to Energylandia in Poland. Some people think this should be number 1, and to me, it doesn't look that much different from the other Vakoma models on this list. This one does have the track length, over 4,300 feet, as well as 2 launches, a top speed of 62 miles per hour, 4 inversions, and a max height of 126 feet on that top hat. It definitely looks like a great ride, which is why it's in the top 10, but I doubt it would top the list of 2020 coasters. Number 7. FLY. A Vakoma flying coaster at Phantasialand in Germany. Nobody really knows when this will be opening. There's been a ton of track work done, but knowing Phantasialand and their theming, there's still a lot of work to do. FLY is a new generation Vakoma launch flying coaster, and when you combine that awesome concept with Phantasialand's theming, this will be a bucket list coaster for a lot of enthusiasts and makes Germany that much stronger in the coaster department. There have been a lot of Vakomas on this list, but FLY is the highest ranked one. Number 6. The unnamed Intamin Blitz coaster coming to Chengdu Wanda City in China. There's not much known about this coaster other than the rendering suggests that it'll either be a clone or a near clone of Terran at Phantasialand, which is one of the most highly regarded coasters in the world. Even if this doesn't have the rockwork that Terran features, the ride itself should stand on its own and be really strong, with its 4,300 feet of track and topping out at 73 miles per hour. Number 5. Jersey Devil Coaster. An RMC Raptor coming to Six Flags Great Adventure in Jackson, New Jersey. This was the bigger, longer, higher capacity Raptor that we were all waiting for ever since California's Great America and Six Flags Fiesta Texas announced that they were getting mirror images of the original. Those original Raptors had such a short ride time, but Jersey Devil will feature 1,200 more feet of track. Plus, it seems like it won't be quite as intense and whippy, which a lot of people are concerned about. The long trains will provide a lot of whip, especially in the back, so this is an experience that will be totally different from the original Raptors and will be worth getting a ride on next year. Number 4. Orion, a B&M Giga Coaster coming to Kings Island in Mason, Ohio. Ever since its announcement on August 15th, this Giga Coaster has come under some scrutiny from coaster enthusiasts, and I see where they're coming from. There's not a lot about this layout that I'm super excited about. I understand the lack of airtime moments, especially since they have the airtime machine Diamondback in the same park, but it does seem like they went with the discount B&M Giga after going all out for Carowinds with Fury 325. I'd never complain about a Giga Coaster, but I don't blame the people who feel disappointed either. A Giga with a stronger layout could take the number 1 spot, but I'm only willing to put Orion at number 4. Number 3. Demonium, a B&M hypercoaster coming to Hershey Park in Hershey, Pennsylvania. Hershey Park's second hyper looks like it has a lot of potential. 210 feet tall, 4,600 feet of track, strong airtime moments, going out into the wilderness before coming back and swooping around the new Chocolate Town area of the park. I think this could be a top-tier B&M hyper up there with Mako or Diamondback. It'll be very interesting to see which Mega B&M ends up being the better ride, Orion or Demonium. Number 2. Pantheon, an Intamin Blitz coaster coming to Busch Gardens Williamsburg in Virginia. We don't have a coaster quite like this in America. The highlight of this Intamin launch coaster will be the multi-pass LSM launch with the switch track and the vertical spike, which will terrify the general public who isn't expecting the ride to fail to clear the top hat the first time and start rolling backwards. This also has a great setting along the river, tops out at 73 miles per hour, has a 178-foot top hat, and over 3,300 feet of track. People are rightfully psyched over this coaster. Number 1. Iron Gwazi, an RMC hybrid coaster coming to Busch Gardens Tampa in Florida. Busch Gardens came on strong in 2020 with the 2 best coaster editions in the world. Any RMC conversion of Gwazi may have been good enough to top this list, but Busch Gardens went above and beyond the call of duty, nearly doubling the original coaster's height in order to make it a hyper-hybrid, the tallest, fastest, and steepest hybrid in North America, taking all of the records previously held by Steel Vengeance. Iron Gwazi has the opportunity to be the best coaster in the world, but the one thing I think it has going against it is the length. It's almost 2,000 feet shorter than Steel Vengeance, so even though it's probably a top 10 coaster in the world, its 4,000 feet of track may not cut it despite its 206-foot height, 76 miles per hour, 3 inversions, and 91-degree drop. There aren't too many coasters that can even begin to challenge Steel Vengeance, but this is one of them, and everyone should try to get to Busch Gardens Tampa next year to see how it stacks up. So that's a wrap on the best coasters opening up in 2020. Let me know what you think about this ranking in the comments below, and how you would change it, and which coaster that you're most psyched to ride this year, and I'll see you guys all next time.